Hello and welcome to another edition of the Road Testament. I'm joined today by Ian, and for copyright reasons I can't show you his face or let him speak. Ian is replacing Alex because Alex is on the road. Today we're going to go back to the early days of the Road Testament and speak about an individual car manufacturer. And we're going to talk about one that Alex never really wanted to talk about, but I kind of do because they are pretty badass. That's Noble Automotive today on the Road Testament. Noble Automotive. It's a British car company founded in 1999 by Lee Noble. What makes a Noble? Well, it's got to be rear-wheel drive, mid-engine. A lot of people think that Nobles are South African. There's been that myth. In fact, they kind of are. The company is based in the UK, but the bodies and chassis are actually built and manufactured alongside super performance vehicles, the Gt40 Replica, the Daytona Coupe Replica. The chassis, the bodies, they're manufactured in South Africa, shipped all the way up to the UK, and that's where the marriage is between the drivetrain and the bodies. Now, Noble's first car was actually kind of a shitbox. It was called the Noble M10. Two-door, two-seater convertible, 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds, top speed of 135 miles an hour. It was basically a Lotus Elise or a Toyota MR2 competitor. It wasn't that good, but it really was the first step in the evolution of what would be known as the M12. The M12 was introduced in 2000. It was produced all the way up to 2008. It was the first real supercar from Noble, specifically tuned with a Ford V6 engine. I had two turbochargers, roll cage, composite body shell. It eventually evolved into the M400, which is the car that if you've seen a Noble in the United States, you see the M400. That's the car that really everyone knows here, and where Noble really got its legacy. There were three versions, 2.5 liter with 330 horsepower, a 3 liter with 365 horsepower, and then a 3 liter with 415 horsepower. It was the first production car to pull 1.2 lateral Gs on street tires. That's pretty damn good. Today we're still trying to get cars that are even getting 1G. The M400, as I said, was imported to the US and was also the first Noble to actually break 200 miles an hour, actually 202 to be exact, and 60 came in about 3.2 seconds. Then, this is where things really started to shift to the modern day. The M14 was basically an M400 with just a different body shell. It was set to really compete with the 911 Turbo and the F430. But where Noble really all came together, what Lee Noble wanted the company to become, it started with the M15. This was the car that really did go up against the 911 Turbo and the F430. 2006 they started developing the car, but then by 2008 they really had it. It was a much more refined twin-turbo V8 with 455 horsepower. 60 came in about 3.3 seconds. And then Noble said, one more, I need to do one more. The M600. V8, twin-turbo, Yamaha V8. Carbon fiber body, 6-speed gearbox, 650 horsepower, pure driver's car, no ABS, no traction control. It really was the car to have. Now, I know that was all a handful. That was a lot of information about Noble, but you okay over there? Okay. What you really need to understand was that Lee Noble had this idea for a sports car, a car you could bring to the track, but then drive every day. Now, the initial M10 was a shitbox, as I said. The M12 became more of that reality. Again, wasn't too refined. And then the M15 really put the package together. Something you could drive every day. Perfect engineering. The thing you have to remember, though, especially with Noble sports cars, is that it was an evolution over many years. You look at the 911 that came out in 1964 to today, 3 generations later, really is the same kind of car, just kept refining, kept refining, kept refining. Lee Noble, what he did was pretty much condense the entire process of what Porsche did with the 911 into under 2 decades. You got to look at the M15 and think, whoa, this really is a masterpiece. Less than 5,000 cars ever produced, and really an engineering marvel. When you really think about kit cars, and I will say the Noble is a kit car because initially that's really what it was, part bins, just parts taken from other cars, put together to really make something good. When I look at the evolution of Noble over the past decade and a half, you look back at the M10, you think, oh, what a piece of crap, and then you look at the M600, whoa, one guy, Lee Noble, the evolution of a sports car, his dream of making a car basically that you could drive every day and then bring to the track and actually outperform a lot of good performance cars. You know, it's funny how He's had the focus of a race car prior to being, something you drive every day. The M15 really kind of sealed the package, I guess you could say, of what a good performance car should be that you could take to the track. Now, a lot of you have suggested we do Noble as a manufacturer to focus, but it makes me beg the question, is there really ever going to be a company like Noble again after Noble is done? After Noble has really set the stone, they've kind of matured to the point where they are selling more cars, that they aren't a startup. But could there ever be a startup like this again? That's the question I leave with you guys again. Noble, one of my favorite car companies out there. What are you doing? Okay. Noble, one of my favorite car companies out there, probably in this world. I got to see a few of them in the United States. You really have to look back and think, good job. I hate that ending. What do you think of Noble? You guys,
talk, right?
he's not supposed to, but
You just can't see his face. He can talk.
he can give me, no, his voice is copyrighted.
So he's in the background FLD.
No, well, you don't know it's him.
Oh, whoops.
All right, give me your vote. M15, up or down? You like the M15? What about the M12? Yeah? Sort of? Can you say something? 6. 6 out of 10? M600. You want the M600. Yeah, that was the worst sign language I've ever seen. M600. All right? Okay.
Ow, we're living in the fast lane, baby.